And for more on the education sector, let's bring in Professor Nick Miles, Provost at the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China. Professor Miles, welcome to the program.
Michael, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be in Global Business with you.
So, Professor Miles, UNNC is represented here as CIFTIS. Talk to us about the main messages you're sending this year at the trade fair.
So while the pandemic has brought about much uncertainty to the world and it impacted everyone's life, it's also provided opportunities for higher institutions like our own here at UNNC, particularly as an opportunity to excel in its digital transformation.
Great. We'll talk about digital in a second, Professor Miles, but talk to me first some more details about how COVID-19 has impacted UNNC. I mean, have classes fully resumed in person, and how are student application numbers looking like? Because Chinese students potentially may have second thoughts about studying abroad right now.
Absolutely, Michael. So like other universities in China, almost all our students and many of our staff had left for the Chinese New Year vacation during January when the virus hit China. So we delayed the start of our new semester from February and went online for teaching, like many universities across China and the world. Eventually we reopened on the 26th of April this year. The campus reopened and we became the first Sino-foreign collaborative university to resume face-to-face teaching. So about 90% of our domestic students have returned. And this year, actually, when you ask about numbers, we've had a higher increase of postgraduate students looking to study here with us in China, rather than go abroad to international universities where there's issues. And our undergraduate numbers as well are pretty stable as well.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. So it seems like things are indeed returning to normal at UNNC. Professor Miles, how will technology, you think, for example, AI, 5G, IoT, transform your classrooms? Are these technologies game changers, you think, for the way we learn?
So transformations have already taken place on our campus. Here at UNNC, we're one of the first universities in China to enable students and staff to access the next generation of 5G networks. And we've updated a lot of our classrooms during the pandemic to facilitate the better blending of online and offline teaching. These technical innovations allow off-campus students to gain class experience wherever they are and let them easily participate in online discussions. The introduction of flexible furnishings make it possible for the rooms to be transformed within minutes to meet the needs of different types of teaching. Each room is equipped with multiple touch screens. Students can watch an instructor's presentation on the main screen while sharing opinions with other groups on separate screens. These screens can be flipped at any time to shift the emphasis being on teacher-led activities to student-centered activities. So what you mentioned, are these game changers? Well, I think interactive and sharing technology will undoubtedly enhance the learning experience for students, cultivating their abilities in active learning and collaborative problem solving.
Okay, so it does sound like UNNC is putting a lot of emphasis on digital learning. Can it go beyond just enhancing learning? Professor Miles, can virtual learning, you think, replace face-to-face learning with, for example, AI? You can be anywhere remotely, I feel, and with AI translation capabilities, you can pretty much speak another language immediately.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is essentially it's not a binary issue. So on one side we've got face-to-face and the other extent we've got fully online. I think it'll be a blend of these two approaches. And what COVID-19 has done is accelerated this trend. And there's some fantastic examples from across the world of innovative ways of doing this kind of interactive learning in kindergartens, high schools, universities, and vocational training college. This is good for students because they have choice, and it's really exciting to see. I think we're going to see a whole raft of new ideas coming forward. However, I would say one thing. I think that the face-to-face, the human interaction is such an important part we have to consider.
Okay, got it. And speaking of choice, Professor Miles, emphasis on education is, of course, a core Chinese value. How do you stand out? How does UNNC stand out in such a competitive education market?
Well, we're an international university, University of Nottingham. We've been in China. We were the first Sino-foreign university in China. We have a campus here in Ningbo, we have a campus in Malaysia. So we've got over 20 years of experience of interacting between different geographical locations, ensuring students experience different cultures, different ways of life, to enrich their opportunities when they graduate from our university. We're very much focused on ensuring it's a student-centered quality education, and it has to be the whole thing that the parents want to see is the quality assurance. So we're quality assured by the Ministry of Education here in China, by the UK's Quality Assurance Agency, and in Malaysia by the Malaysian Ministry of Education. So it's very much ensuring the delivery of quality in different places. You know, it's a pioneer spirit to explore and make changes, and it's exciting to see what we and other universities can do about enhancing the next generation of young people through education.
All right. Great chatting with you, Professor Miles. Professor Nick Miles there, Provost at the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China.